Hi guys, it's Fentoni. I'm back again with another Game of Thrones video, and today I thought I'd do something a bit different. I have been thinking about the Night King lately, and how he's going to be received as the big bad villain in Game of Thrones. The Night King is being set up as the main villain of the series. He is the leader of the White Walkers, and the character doesn't exactly exist in the books, but it might in the future, or something very similar. The Night King might actually be the show's version of the Great Other. The Great Other is the god of darkness, cold and death in the faith of R'hllor, the Lord of Light. His true name is forbidden, and he is considered the enemy of the Lord of Light. And Melisandre says the others, or the White Walkers on the show, are the cold children of the Great Other. And remember, the Night King turned Craster's children into White Walkers. The Night King did spend most of his time in the background. He first appeared in Season 4, but it wasn't until Season 5 that he made his big appearance at Hardhome. The Night King did return in Season 6, but we had a different actor. I'm not going to get into this too much. I prefer the original, but I don't mind the new one. So let's talk about the Night King as a villain. Game of Thrones has pretty strong characters, and it's one of the best parts of the series. The story's not so much about good characters versus bad characters, but it's kinda turning into it. The more the shows went on, and the more characters have been killed off, it's kinda leading towards the good guys versus the bad guys. In my opinion, Cersei Lannister is becoming more and more like a villain, and the dead are becoming an evil force that needs to be stopped. But George R. R. Martin describes the others not so much as bad guys, or an evil force. He calls them strange and beautiful, a different sort of life, inhuman, elegant and dangerous. But the show's making them out to be nothing more than evil ice people that can resurrect the dead. But hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully we're wrong, and there's more to it than that. Hopefully Season 8 gives us the big answers. We have went into the Night King's backstory a tiny bit. We've seen how he's created. The children of the forest took him and performed some sort of ritual. They placed dragonglass into his chest and turned him into a White Walker to use as a weapon against the First Men who they were at war with. The man that became the Night King was forced to become the Night King. He was tied to a tree, and I think it's going to become a tragic backstory. Did the Night King have a family? Who was he? Why was he chosen? Was he an ancient Stark? Was he a good or bad person? We need to learn more. Maybe a Bran Stark vision. Maybe Melisandre in the flames. But the Night King needs a backstory. It seems like the White Walkers are never going to be able to talk. There was a language called Scruff that was created for the pilot. It kinda sounds like ice cracking. So will the Night King remain voiceless throughout the entire series? Or perhaps could he speak the common tongue? Maybe he says just one word. Maybe it's Stark. Or maybe Snow. Or he might just remain voiceless. We don't need him to speak, but because he can't speak, he can't exactly explain his plan. So we have to see it through someone else's eyes. Maybe he actually goes back and shows Bran, because we do believe that Bran Stark and the Night King share very similar powers. They're both Green Seers. If you want to compare the Night King to other big villains, obviously lately, with the release of Avengers Infinity War, Thanos has been received as an exceptional villain, and he's been given a fantastic backstory and a great motive to why he wants to complete his goals. Another big main villain that I want to talk about is from The Lord of the Rings, and that's Sauron. He is the main villain of the series, and he's actually the title character. But he's in the background for all the time, and he's not given much character. He just wants his ring back to take over the world. We learn more in other stories by Tolkien, such as the Silmarillion, but The Lord of the Rings just perceives Sauron, as a big bad guy in the background, who wants to take over the world. And in the Return of the King film, they actually tried to film a scene when Aragorn faces Sauron at the Black Gate. They cut this scene because they didn't want it to be Aragorn versus Sauron in a sword fight. They didn't want to take away from Frodo destroying the ring. I think this is important, as it looks like Jon Snow and the Night King will face off in a one-on-one battle. I don't think that's how the show should end. I don't think that's how the Night King should be killed. As I said, I do believe the Night King and Bran have very similar powers, so maybe they actually battle in the Weirwood Network, and Bran is able to defeat the Night King, or maybe to weaken him, and Jon Snow can kill him then, or maybe something completely different, but I hope it's not just Jon stabs him through the heart. A lot of people actually believe the show might incorporate some of the story from the Night's King. In the books, the Night's King is the 13th Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, and he went beyond the wall and found a pale woman with blue eyes, a female White Walker, and she became the Night's Queen. I do believe the show might try to include this part into the story of the Night King. They seem to be different entities. The Night King is the first White Walker, and obviously the Night's King was not the first White Walker, as he found a pale woman north of the wall, and the wall already existed. But maybe the show decides to add the story of the Night's King, and add some of it into the story of the Night King. We've seen how he was created, but what happens after that? Maybe he goes back to wherever he came from, and he starts to turn his own people into his White Walkers. Maybe he creates his own Night Queen. I do believe we'll eventually find out how the Night King and the original White Walkers were defeated. Maybe the lesser White Walkers were killed off, and maybe the Night Queen. But because the Night King has dragon glass in his chest, and he's the source of the magic, Valyrian steel and dragon glass was unable to kill him. But he was driven north, and a wall was created to stop him coming back. That'd be quite an interesting backstory. This is me just having a bit of fun, but some people do believe this, and I think it is a possibility. But whatever happens, the Night King needs a backstory, and a reason to why he's coming back, and maybe a secret motive. So let me know what you think. How do you feel about the Night King as a villain? Do you think he's going to succeed and be a great character, or do you think he'll just be another boring villain who looks cool and does awesome stuff? So as always guys, leave your thoughts in the comments below. If this is your first time here, and you're enjoying what you see, make sure you subscribe and turn the notifications on. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.